Hello and welcome to a Pauper gameplay video by Ready Made Gaming. Today we have Blue-Black Control facing off against Elves. There's a short introduction to both of these decks for those of you who have not seen them or are not familiar with them. The Blue-Black Control deck is it's a control deck. It plays counter spells, draw spells, and destroy target creature spells, along with a limited number of threats. It plays islands and swamps. The Elves deck is a tribal deck that focuses on gaining a mana advantage and using payoff spells like Distant Melody and Lead the Stampede. And here we are fighting Counterspell versus Distant Melody. Joe's on the play for game one. Starts with a Priest of Titania, 2 forests, an island, 2 Lead the Stampede, and a Lissalana. He unfortunately has to mulligan down to 4, bottoming the forest, a Lead the Stampede, and a Lissalana. I'm on the draw with Blue-Black Control. I have a Radiant Fountain, Dimir Aqueduct, Barrenmoor, Prohibit, Remove Soul, Evankar's Justice, and Accumulated Knowledge. I mulligan my Barrenmoor to the bottom. Joe is going to lead on a basic forest and pass the turn. I will lead on a Radiant Fountain. My draw for the turn was a Dismal Backwater. I could have played that out. I played the Radiant Fountain because it gains 2 life instead of 1, and I really don't, at that point, didn't have a use for either 1 black or blue mana. I probably should have ran out the Dismal Backwater in case I drew a 1 mana blue or black spell. There's Preordains, Innocent Blood, Ghastly Demise, any number of things. I guess Ghastly Demise isn't really a good draw here. So for the second turn, I'll play a Dimir Aqueduct, bouncing a Radiant Fountain. Joe's second turn is a Lead the Stampede, revealing 4 creatures, Sylvan Ranger, Fendorn Elves, Nettle Sentinel, and Elvish Vanguard. Jim's fourth turn, he'll play a land. Right now he has access to 9 mana. He'll play an Elvish Vanguard. I'll tap my Dimir Aqueduct for Remove Soul. I also could have played a Prohibit here. I don't mind keeping Prohibit in my hand because it gives me the ability to counter a Lead the Stampede if I can kick it, whereas Remove Soul does not. There's a Sylvan Ranger from Joe, fetching up another forest. A Fendorn Elves will tap to add a green mana to produce a Nettle Sentinel. That's the end of Joe's ability to use his mana. So he'll just get in there for 2. That'll bring me down to 21. The Radiant Fountain I play for my turn will put me back up to 23, and an Evankar's Justice will wipe the board. So counter spells, kill spells, draw spells, that's pretty much what I do. The late game, you can win by buying back Evankar's Justice with multiple Talisman. Pristine Talismans on the battlefield to gain you back the life that Evankar's Justice deals to you. Evankar's Justice deals 2 damage to each player and each creature. So it's an excellent board wipe, and it also serves as a finisher. Here's another Lead the Stampede from Joe after I tapped out. He'll get a Llanowar Elf, Well-Wisher, and Lissalana. Run out the Elvish Mystic, or the Llanowar Elf, whichever one it is. The generic 1 green 1/1 that taps to add a green mana to your pool. Seem to have some sort of decision. I'm holding up Mystical Teachings here. I was thinking about cycling the Lonely Sandbar. It's the only land in my hand, so I don't think I should do that. There's a kicked Prohibit. See, this is interesting because that could have just been a Remove Soul, which means I would have had 2 additional mana lying around. Maybe I could have done something with it. But leaving up a kicked Prohibit and also leaving up Mystical Teachings, which is a big component to this deck. And quite frankly, Mystical Teachings is the reason that I play it. I love Mystical Teachings. It's awesome. So here's a Pristine Talisman. I'll cast an Innocent Blood, make each player sacrifice a creature. Then I'll tap my Talisman and my Sandbar to draw a card. I haven't hit a land this turn, so if I draw a land, that's why I'm playing my instant at sorcery speed, so I can hit a land drop. The board's clear. We're in turn 6 or 7. There's an Elvish Vanguard and a Well-Wisher from Joe. I'll untap here while we find a die token to represent the +1/+1 on the Vanguard. There's a tapped Pristine Talisman, Dimir Aqueduct, Radiant Fountain, and Lonely Sandbar. I think I'm floating a black here. That's what I indicated when I touched the Dimir Aqueduct. I'll probably be looking for a Ghastly Demise or some terror type effect. Ghastly Demise is a 1-mana destroy target creature if its toughness is equal to or lower than the number of creatures in your graveyard. I'll add that to my hand. With the black that I floated, I will cast it targeting the Elvish Vanguard, and I will disfigure the Well-Wisher. There's a lot of one-ofs in this list. I think it would probably just be better if I played like 4 Ghastly Demise or something like that. It might sound silly, but I didn't own Ghastly Demise outside of that one. Just I haven't picked them out of bulk, or I didn't put an order in or whatever. I just recently ordered some, so I'll be able to throw a few in the deck there. There's another Pristine Talisman and a land drop, and this is exactly the type of game that we want to see. We're 1-for-1ing. We have Mystical Teachings to play. We are sweeping the board. We're reasonably insulating our life total. He will declare an attack, and I will functionally block it with my Pristine Talisman, tapping it, adding a mana, and drawing a card, and gaining a life rather. So here are all teachings for AK, accumulated knowledge. I'll do that for 2. So we have enough mana. I think that we might be considering playing a flashback, a copy of Mystical Teachings. Here we'll play the Dimir Aqueduct, bouncing a Lonely Sandbar to floating the mana to cycle it, casting a Dismal Backwater for Preordained, scrying 2. Do 1 on top, 1 on the bottom here, and draw. Diabolic Edict makes him sacrifice a creature. Just churning through our deck, killing a thing or 2. Use the Pristine Talismans to gain some life. We have 2 copies of Dimir Aqueduct on the battlefield now. So we have 6 lands that make 8 mana plus 2 Pristine Talismans. That's a lot of mana. How are we doing that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the flashback is 5 and a black. So we are flashing back a Mystical Teachings now, probably for a counter spell. Joe's in the Hunter Landis phase of the game, where you scry the top card to see if you have a chance of playing on. Counter spell is a good card in that spot. So we'll move on to sideboarding here. Joe's going to bring out 2 Well-Wishers for 2 Rapid Vigors. Rapid Vigor regenerates all of his creatures, which is awesome against a pile of kill spells and sweepers. I'm going to, like I usually try to do, condense my curve. I'm going to bring out my Gurmag Anglers, Capsize, and Exclude for 3 Innocent Bloods and Evankar's Justice. More on that in a moment. Joe's on the play with Timberwatch Elf, Island, Lissalana, Llanowar Elves, Birchfloor Rangers, Elvish Vanguard, and a Forest. He mulligans the Timberwatch Elf and the Island to the bottom of his deck. And I keep sort of a loosey-goosey hand. It's not bad, but it may have been a mulligan. Comment, tell me what you would have done. I have Counterspell, Accumulated Knowledge, Pristine Talisman, I'm sorry. 2 Islands, a Dismal Backwater, and a Dimir Aqueduct. So I'm definitely slow out of the gates with no kill spells. So there's a very, 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 very strong argument that this should have been a mulligan. But such is life. Joe's going to lead on Forest Llanowar Elves. Turn 2, Elvish Vanguard. Turn 3, play a land, cast Birchfloor Ranger. Play a Quirion Ranger. Attack with the Elf and the Vanguard. I'm just going to try to get to an Evankar's Justice here. That was the thought in keeping the hand. It's really just an Evankar's Justice away from being, sort of perfect, which a lot of the hands are. That's the nature of the matchup, I think. But the sideboard. So I thought about keeping the Gurmag Anglers in, but bringing in 3 more Innocent Bloods sort of disincentivized me from having any creatures. It is entirely possible that playing the Gurmag Anglers would have been better than the Innocent Bloods. There's a Lissalana. Is that the Hunt Master? I'm not going to counterspell that because that card will beat me by itself, and the battlefield is already insane as it is. So even Evankar's Justice here isn't good enough. We're still taking 4. We'll go down to 10 from casting it. We'll probably go down to 5 on the next attack, and our opponent will have multiple creatures on the battlefield, so our edict effects aren't going to be as good. So I don't really have time to run out this Pristine Talisman. I really have to keep up Counterspell. I choose to run out the Talisman anyway. That seems wrong. And there's another list. Yep, here we go. And this is what I was thinking about. Yeah, 100% should have kept up Counterspell. The game was tenuous as it was, and putting the shields down even for a turn is just... It's a mistake. And even drawing the Mystical Teachings wouldn't have been good enough, so... And we'll go into Game 3. I open with 2 Counterspells, 2 Innocent Bloods, a Preordained Prohibit, and an Island. This is a shaky hand. Joe's on the draw with a Fyndhorn Elves, Birchlords, Ranger, Timberwatch Elves, 2 Forests, and 2 Lead the Stampede. I'm going to start on Preordain and go bottom draw. So this is a 1-lander that has intense mana colored requirements and only 1 cantrip. This may have been a mulligan, but I mean the upside on keeping this hand is pretty good. And there's a swamp, so we're live. I probably should have used Innocent Blood here just to reduce his material, but keeping Prohibit up is kind of attractive against a Priest of Titania deck. But had I used Innocent Blood, I would have been able to pinch him on mana, and if he had the Priest there, I would have been able to get the second one with the Innocent Blood and keep Prohibit up into this turn. So this Preordain is going to go top, I'll draw, play a Swamp, Innocent Blood, so 2, use both the sacrifice effects, but the way that I'm doing it now, I'm leaving my mana down as the turns get into, Lead the Stampede territory. Not that I really had an answer for that. It's going to get some mana creatures, 2 Elvish Mystics, and a Quirion Ranger. I'll draw, slam a Radiant Fountain that I kept on top and pass. My counterspells are still dead. This is very bad for me. My Prohibit can now be kicked, and I have a Ghastly Demise, so this isn't terrible. And if, like in most, I mean, you probably heard me say this once or twice before, if we rip an Evankar's Justice, we're just super far ahead. You get a straight 4 for 1. No land drop, no second blue source. There's a lead. Yeah, we should definitely prohibit this. And it's interesting now because we could just take 4 damage, and I actually think it would have been right for Joe to just attack with 4 guys. Because this way, you're just, like, if you're just attacking with 4, you make me answer them either individually or with an Evankar's Justice, and then you have enough mana to redeploy some number of threats. This way, an Evankar's Justice would probably actually win me the game, which is not a risk that he has to take, I think. You know, it's a 4 or 5 or 6 turn clock, whatever it is, but I think I would have held tight on the 4 mana creatures and just started punching and make me do this, but I have to do this anyway, so you're probably making a profit in the long run. I also think I would have sacrificed an Elvish Mystic instead of the Birchlore Ranger. Not being able to make blue or red could actually be a thing here. Mob Justice takes a turn off the clock, kind of, and Distant Melody kind of puts me away. So, there's an Elvish Vanguard. Oh, there's a counterspell. Got the second island going. Priest of Titanium. Mana is not the constraint here. We're not worried about mana. Oh, there's another Birchlore. So, let's take a moment here. We can make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. He could have made 21 mana last turn. Like, mana was not what we needed to fight over. That's a Chainer's Edict. Sacrifice one of the random elves. I don't know what we're representing with the Birchlore Ranger. Maybe a Red Blast or something. I don't think those were brought in, though. I'm going to flash back the Chainer's Edict. Just trying to manage the board here. Like, it's just trying to buy an extra turn, an extra half a turn, where the Evenkar's Justice can be, a valid draw. There's a swing for 4 again. What are we down to? 10 here? 2-turn clock. We're thinking. Thumbing through the old graveyard there. Probably representing that we drew a Teachings, so we can Teachings for Counterspell. Joe continues to leave 2 elves back, still representing something to do with the Birchlore Ranger mana. I'm interested to see what he's doing here. This could just be, a stone bluff. It feels like a bluff. I don't know what you could possibly have that would warrant taking a turn off the clock, even a Pyroblast. What blue spell are you fighting over? What blue spell are you fighting over that's not a Mystical Teachings at the end of turn? So yeah, it's definitely not a Red Blast. It's definitely not, a Pyroblast, Blue Blast, because there's no red spells in my deck. So there's an AK. Just trying to work our way through the deck again. Ugh. See the hopeful draw step. There's another island. Well, here we're at 7. So we're dead to a Mob Justice, and he's representing that he has red mana, but Mob Justice is a sorcery. He can't. I'm almost positive Mob Justice is a sorcery. Teachings for another AK. Oh, there you go. That's an okay play. That buys you a turn. Not bad, Birmingham. That prevents from the Mob Justice just resulting in a game loss. But I don't actually think... Okay, so that bought me... If there is a Mob Justice in his hand, it bought me exactly 1 turn. So I'll counterspell the Elvish Mystic, hoping maybe I can draw an AK into 2 kill spells and survive. I'll pass here at 3. Looks like there's 2 Priests of Titanias there. So we have 1 copy of Echoing Decay that we can go grab. Echoing Decay to stay at 1. The issue here now is that the Evenkar's Justice is no longer an out. Being at 1 life means Evenkar's Justice makes you at less than 1 life. I would not be surprised to see something along the lines of Mob Justice. Oh, see, now this is interesting. because he has the Quirion Ranger. If there is a blue spell in his hand, a Distant Melody, you can fetch up the island, return a force to untap the Elvish Mystic, and get 3 cards in here. Get a 4-mana draw 3, which is fine, especially in this type of matchup when I'm at 1. Holy shoot. No land drop. Oh, there's a land drop. Okay, so maybe we're sandbagging. I still think we're just very dead here. There's a Pristine Talisman in my hand. So AK can get me 2 cards. If they are 2 kill spells, I might be able to survive. Island, Radiant Fountain, Island for Pristine Talisman, then go Swamp Island, Swamp Pristine Talisman to kill 2 things to go up to 2 with 1 attacker. That does not look like what I have. I have an Evenkar's Justice here. So yeah, this is just garbage time. I don't think there's an out. There's the Pristine Talisman and an Evenkar's Justice. And Joe's having none of it. He's going to Rapid Vigor so his guys don't die. I got no problem with that. Yeah. Your guy taps. Yep. Regenerate your team. And I'll deal 2 to everything, including myself. Oh, that was a good game. Good match. Well, thanks for watching. And check out some other videos on the channel. See you next time.